Hi, let's see how this works. We're telling your friends. Oh, I'm nervous
Hello,
about this. I'm nervous. Now I got like super nervous. And I'm super shy
babes.
because of this light, I guess.
I know the light changed.
Yeah,
It's okay. This is another proof that models are really not that pretty. Everything is retouched,
so true.
everything is manipulated with light.
So true.
And yeah,
And listen, now I was watching because obviously it's my first live, so I had no idea
mine
how to
too.
do it. And I watched online. I watched like a YouTube on how to, of course. And apparently you can also filter your live videos, which I did not know.
Babes, let's not do it. Let's be real. I
But
think I vote for being real.
isn't that weird though? I find it so strange that people nowadays feel the need to filter everything and just
Absolutely.
basically not be themselves in a way.
Absolutely. I genuinely think it's a big problem, but the biggest issue that I have with it is that unfortunately, us working in fashion, we actually add the value to that, and we add this weight on many people's shoulders that they almost think that they need to look perfect all the time. But
It's
the
true.
truth is, nobody looks perfect,
We didn't
and
even look like the pictures that we're in sometimes.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I sometimes, do you get that you sometimes have this guilt trip of also
Yeah.
almost making certain people think less of themselves or generate certain yeah, just certain sadness, I guess.
Yeah,
Uh,
when Instagram started, like before Instagram, I never really gave it a thought. Like I kind of knew obviously I see a picture of myself and there's like retouch going on. There's work, like teamwork that goes into one picture. So it's
yeah,
not
final product.
yeah, exactly. It's not just me showing up and oh, this is how like I woke up like this. Um, but then when Instagram came along, I realized that there's this pressure of looking good all the time. No matter
Mm.
what you do, you have to look good. You have to look a certain way. You have
I
to.
I kind of try to break that. I don't know if you try that as well. Obviously now, there is this trend, and even recently I read this very interesting article on New York Times when they're speaking about a certain face, the most popular face in the world, and they call it like a sexy tiger something or whatever. I don't
Oh,
remember exactly how they called it, but basically this is, sort of voluptuous lips, then big eyes, big cat eyes that are obviously perfectly
oh
groomed
yeah,
with mascara, with the big sort of groomed eyebrows. And I have mixed feelings towards that because on one hand, I am not necessarily supportive of plastic surgeries and enhancing the image. But on the other hand, if you think about people with insecurities that, for example, they are very insecure about their nose their entire life, and suddenly, they turn 20, and now, these days, this is so all within arm's reach that, it doesn't cost even that much money to have it altered. Then I think people, should be able to do it and should be able to make themselves more confident because this can change their entire life, all the relationships with friends, the confidence they have at work. So I've got mixed feelings around about this, but then to stay true with me, with my nature, I guess I kind of want to break that, and I try to show as much real me on Instagram as possible. But it's hard because you kind of,
it's
in
hard.
front of the camera, when you stand in front of the camera in a studio, you instantly,
Yeah, you
arms
have to
down,
like perk up, and you always like oh
exactly. So it's not the easiest of things to do, but I try my best to do it. And then, respect everyone's decisions, I guess, in terms of how they treat their body.
yeah.
Just as long
But
as it's healthy, it's
I
good.
also think like I kept on during all these crazy times. I was watching all these old movies, and I love Barbara Streisand.
Hmm.
And you know, her nose, it's an iconic thing, and she didn't change it. She could have changed it,
A million
and
times,
it
yeah.
makes her her. Like I think it's when
Absolutely.
we have these little, I'm not gonna call them defects, but when you have these things, um, I mean, it's such a beautiful thing to embrace and just be happy with what it is. But I think because we're always showing this, like you said in that article, like there's this image of something being perfect that we want
Mm.
to get to that stage, but I don't know. There's there's
I
things
think
that just make
I
us be
think
us.
I think I absolutely understand your point of view, but then let's take a step back and also think how privileged we are to be in this position. You know that
Yeah.
we obviously have our flaws, and I think this is a big misconception that models don't have insecurities because, hey, you know, everybody has insecurities. Doesn't matter how beautiful people think you are, you still struggle with insecurities. And but then, like, I want to take a step back and just say out loud how lucky I know, how lucky it is for us to have certain genetical predispositions that obviously we just have to thank our parents for that.
Yes.
Because we don't know what the other side feels like, you know. So that's why I kind of want to be cautious in terms of judgment, because I came to a point where, you know, I have flaws, but I'm happy with my body. And so many people are just not happy with
Not
their
happy.
bodies,
Yeah.
right? So this is an interesting twist for me to acknowledge, you know, and just to be aware, you know, have it somewhere in the back of your mind that there are a lot of people that struggle with body image and with confidence. And then what's more, you know, fashion industry doesn't necessarily help all the
Oh,
time.
yeah.
We should, though, babes, we absolutely should, you know, raise a campaign on how real face should look like. Because, you know, I think even, okay, sorry, I need to shut up in a second because I know I'm
No, no,
taking
no. Do
over.
it. Go
but
for it. I need
but then
to talk
I
about
think
these
I
things.
think one of my, like, many people ask me questions, you know, what is my dream thing to do in fashion? And I've been very lucky to touch and to experience different sides of fashion, where whether it's catwalk, whether it's commercial, whether it's TVC, and so on. But then I think my dream job to have before I retire, because obviously, I mean, let's not disclose our ages or anything. But I sometimes feel like a granny in this industry. You know, meeting girls that are, you know, the loveliest, but they're just, you know, a generation younger. But I think my dream job to have is to do a cover of a magazine without any makeup whatsoever. And I'll be happy to do it, you know, whether my skin isn't clear, whether you see my wrinkles, whether you see my gray hair coming out. Like, I think this is something that fashion needs in a way. I don't, well,
I
I think it would be refreshing.
I think we're not in like in fashion in general, we're not entirely honest. Like I've seen all these singers and whatever, like VIPs, let's say that come out and they say, well, you know, I did this cover and it was no makeup, no retouching. Where there's obviously makeup. There is a thing called no makeup,
Mm.
where you have foundation on, where you have, so I think that's why big like brands like I think there's one that has underwear here in the States.
Mm.
They started doing their campaigns without retouching, and you can see that it's not retouched. They gain such momentum
I think it's
because
excellent.
I
I think
yeah,
it's so refreshing.
I think
No.
so too. I think it's so nice to see that, you know, perfection is somehow unattainable and we all
Mm.
have our flaws. And yes, some of us are luckier in a way because of our genetic material, like you were saying earlier. But even the super lucky ones, they still have um,
Insecurities, yeah.
insecurities and they still have flaws. And that doesn't mean that, you know, there's something wrong with us. It just means that we have our flaws. And
But I also think this is another big issue, obviously, circling around, is that how hard it is to almost accept yourself, you know, without pretending, especially now, with Instagram and with all social media running in a background constantly. Mm, yeah, people like to, well, make fool out of themselves sometimes, you know, here showing, you know, how amazingly they cook, or what amazing activities or travels they do all the time. And then yeah, I kind of lost my point, but whatever. Yeah, what's interesting is that what makes us us, you know, the normal us, when we wake up in the morning, when we just, you know, when we're at home without anyone observing, without posting, without anything. And I think it takes a lot of courage
It
and
does.
a lot of introspection in general to just accept for yourself for who you are without pretending, you know.
Yeah, I think, I mean, you need, that's what you need. You need courage to be able to throw yourself out in the world. And also because people have the tendency of judging. um,
Mm.
they're very fast. They just judge for the way you look, for if you're beautiful, you're stupid, if you're, there's always all these ideas that are getting like thrown out there. And
Mm.
it's, nobody really nowadays takes the time to actually meet the person that
The
they,
real person, yeah.
yeah, exactly, that
Because
they want to
so
talk
so
to.
there are two things that I think are, if anyone would be interested, I think this is something that I find fascinating. There is this one psychologist, I'm sure you know her. Her name is Brené
Yes,
Brown. Yeah,
yes,
I
Brene Brown.
mean,
Yeah.
my hero. You know, if she's gonna see this, you know, doubtful. But then she opened my eyes to this revolutionary concept of, okay, it's super okay to be vulnerable,
Yeah.
and being brave is directly proportional to how vulnerable you feel. And in the end, I think everyone feels vulnerable in one situation or
Or
another.
another.
So I think this is a beautiful concept, and more people should know about it. I think
She
this
has
is
a
one of the,
TED talk about it, right?
yeah, and I
Yeah,
think is
yeah.
one of
So
the most
you guys
watched
should
TED
watch it.
talks, yeah, in ever recorded in TED history, or like one of the fives. But the other a conversation of her that I truly adore is with Russell Brand. I don't know if you know this British comedian slash actor,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
long hair, and he's extremely witty. I love his podcast. The name is Under the Skin, and I've been addicted to it for many years now. And they have a podcast together, and he's very peculiar. Not everyone loves him. Some people probably think they cross the line from time to time, but I absolutely adore this talk, and I really recommend. So yeah, this is definitely something to spread out, you know, and just spread the news that yeah, I think introspection in general is important. And
I think she posted something about how to say I'm sorry, and it's one thing that I really struggle with. Like I always,
really,
very hard for me to say I'm sorry. And she, her latest post was about it, and I thought that was such a beautiful thing. And I really like every subject that she touches on. I think it's something that we should all just go and listen and take a little bit of
but
time to absorb what she says and kind of
absolutely.
like
But don't you
look
think
within and see.
the key to her audience and to her reach really is that she's so spot on honest.
Yeah.
And you know, this is almost an analogy to what we spoke about before, is that we're very often, I don't want to generalize because obviously everyone is different, but for me, I know I struggled a lot with sort of being me for me. And for many years when I started modeling, for example, I wasn't telling people, you know, I was at university. So at university, you know, you were supposed to be this, you know, smart, intellectual, you
Yeah.
know, student smoking cigarettes and so on. So, you know, I was a student. And then, you know, on the other hand, this is when I started modeling in my first year of university. And for many years, I was lying to people that, you know, no, this is not me on the bus, you know, with the I don't remember what was it. I think Body Shop campaign or something like this. You know, literally buses in London with my face on it, and they were like, "Oh my God, Hannah,
It's
this
not
this
me.
girl looks like you," and I was just, "No, no, no, just wow, this is weird, but it's not me." So it really was interesting to break this barrier, I guess.
Oh my God, I totally like, oh, so I have so many notes and questions. I was freaking out about this.
Very smooth.
But yeah, yeah.
Born to do it.
I was born to do it. No, I was about to say that my biggest fears in like at a photo shoot is when someone says be yourself, because I've been doing this for a while, and it's always when you get on set they kind of tell you what the deal is and what they want, and you know, they want this girl to be a very confident girl that works in whatever, or they give you a story kind of to you know, to
Present
make you,
later, yeah.
yeah, exactly. And so if someone says be yourself, for me, like, I go into a bit of a shock because I've never really shown myself in a picture.
On
I
set,
always
yeah.
see it as, oh, it's a character. I'm just gonna do
It's
this.
like a primitive acting
Yes, exactly.
exercise.
And I can be on the streets and I can do whatever they want. I can jump, I can, it doesn't matter as long as I have a team behind me. But if I'm by myself or with Tudor and we
Yeah.
walk down the street and he's like, oh, I'll take a picture, I find it's ridiculous in a way for me.
Yeah, I
And I
know. I
feel
have that too. I have that too. It
so
almost feels
strange
like that.
about it.
All of my fashion photos, this is one Hannah, and then when Miko takes a picture of me, I literally look like a 10-year-old girl just smiling, excited about something, and just
Yeah.
it's not the same. But it's also beautiful, I think, you know. In general, I think it's what I've been thinking about a lot lately is that we have so many different identities that makes us us in a way. And obviously, being a model is one of those identities that for me, it took me a while to accept it and to be happy about it in a way that this is such a big part of my life, and there's so many things I appreciate about what this industry gave me, and how much I've learned, and how much I've seen, I've traveled, how many amazing people I have met. But there are so many different parts of us that makes us us, you know, whether it's something that you love, whether it's something that you do as a passion, and so on. But people like to just look at you and say, okay, she's a model, she's probably dumb, she's probably not that interesting, you know. But it's not true. I mean, I think we should believe more in people, because in the end, yeah, the most amazing ones stay around, I hope.
Which brings us, by the way, brings us to the questions, or not questions, but someone was saying that they really want to know about your interests and your view of life and all that. So what
That's
are
a
your other interests?
very, very broad spectrum to touch on. I'm a very curious person. This is for sure, and I like that about me. Sometimes it makes me furious, but I like the fact that there's this sort of force within me in a way that drives me more and more to different new things. But definitely, art and architecture is something that it's a massive part of my life. Art has always been in my house. In my parents have been taking me and my sister around museums whenever we got a chance.
Are they artists as well or no?
No, they're not at all, not at all. But they
They just
love art
love.
and architecture. They just love it, yeah. And this is such a nice sort of poetic memory that I have of my childhood. And I remember, you know, going to different museums, probably without understanding much, but still, this is something that is there. And I definitely took it forward in my adult life. So yeah, this is something that I love, both art and architecture. I think this is impossible for me to differentiate. So yeah, this is a big part. But also another thing that I definitely enjoy doing is the fact that I studied maths at university. Not many people people always, when I tell them, they're acting quite surprised. But this is something that I was good at as a child, and I kind of picked it as a subject at university because, you know, come on, you tell an 18-year-old what do you want to do in life, and probably 9 out of 10, you know, stand there crying because they don't know. And so I chose to study maths because I thought it's interesting. I never struggled with it. But then after I finished university, kind of this interest took a little bit of a turn, and I got really interested in the human mind. And I don't want to make it sound too pompous and say neurology, because obviously my knowledge is very limited at the moment, but I absolutely love reading popular science books, and this is something that I do all the time. So whether it's something about philosophy and mind, or neurology, or cognitive thinking, even when I did my thesis at my university, it was about decision analysis, which is
Yeah, exactly.
mathematical aspect of it. I wrote about mathematical aspects of it, but this is something that took my mind further, and I really, yeah, this is definitely a big part of my life. So when I read, I try to read a mixture of different things.
Was your university in England,
London,
or
London, yeah, 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 London,
but you were
London,
born in Warsaw?
absolutely. So I was born in Warsaw, and then when I was 16, I went to high school in the UK, and then from there I stayed in London for another couple of years of university, and kind of after that was just all
The
over the place.
world was your
How old
oyster.
were you when you left home?
I was 16.
Yeah, pretty
16 when I
early as
got
well.
home. I was still doing my high school, so I went back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah.
And the first place, where did you go? Like the first, well, you were in London, so you didn't have to
Mm.
go anywhere. But I went to Milan,
Mm.
which was an interesting thing. It was almost surreal for me because I never really thought that I could get that far. Like for me,
Mm.
that first contact with a different culture was insane. It was mind blowing.
But did you feel comfortable? Did you feel like your agency kind of took care of you? Did you feel safe?
Oh, that's a good question. Someone was asking me how we do and how can we feel safe in this industry. And I have to say I had a mother agent back then, and I the first 2 weeks that I went to Milan, I went with my
Mm.
mom.
Okay,
So that
amazing.
made me feel a lot better. I remember when
Yeah.
she left, I cried so much. But then I was also very curious about everything, and I really enjoyed modeling and meeting
Because it
new
is
people.
fun. It is fun. It's hard work, but I feel like you meet so many different people and your mind just grows instantly because as a very young person, you were 16, I was a little bit older because I started with Elite London when I was already first year of university, so I was 18. But then it feels like you suddenly, you're still a teenager, and then suddenly you
Yes.
meet people from completely different backgrounds, from many different countries. And sometimes, I feel like my English was very good back then, but still, British accent, and they start telling you what to do, and I was, I had no idea what to do, And then you meet people from, with different religious views, with different
Yes.
sexualities, and I think this is so beautiful to be exposed to this so early on, especially coming from, I guess, Slavic and background and Balkan countries where it wasn't, especially, in the early 2000s, it wasn't that popularized, right?
Yes. I feel like we're still struggling nowadays in Romania to accept.
Yeah, in
Uh,
Poland as well. This is Middle
but
Ages.
yeah, it's getting better. It's getting better. I
Do you
like
ever think of going back to Romania after New York, after living in New York? How many years are you living in New York at the moment?
I've been here for 10 years, I think, at this point.
Yeah, that's
I
a good
mean,
that's a good
someone asked
number.
me how long have I been here for, and I say 10 years. They're like, "Oh, you're a New Yorker."
Yeah,
I
there you
don't
go.
know.
You
Like when,
are.
if something bad happens like this virus, whatever that got us all freaked out, I my first thought and my first instinct is go home. And for
Mm,
me, home means Romania,
yeah.
which is very interesting because and every single thing I look at, and I always think, oh, this would be such a good thing if it would happen in Romania. Or I don't know why, like I'm so
But you
attached
didn't
to the
in the
country.
end.
Hmm?
You didn't go to Romania in the end. You stayed in New York for the.
I didn't. No. I
I
did.
also think it's very interesting that we've been chatting for almost half an hour and we haven't even mentioned coronavirus, which just it's very refreshing, I think, considering everyone talks about it all the
I
time.
think
But was it hard for you to stop working for what, almost 2 months now?
I think it took a toll on me. I didn't realize. I'm very relaxed when it comes to things like these, and also as a model, you don't have work lined up always, so you're
Mm,
always kind of waiting for something.
yeah.
Of course, you go to a casting, but it's never immediate, so you don't
Mm,
really know. So in a way, that got me in the in the mood for coronavirus quarantine. But then I realized 2 weeks in that I was walking down the street and I saw an ambulance and I started bawling and I thought, oh my God, okay, it's really getting to me. I didn't think
Mm.
it would, but it, like I saw the ambulance, I cried. I saw a firefighter, I cried. I'm also one
Yeah,
of
but it
these.
also it feels like obviously I don't know how exactly it feels like, but then New York suddenly became like an eye of a hurricane.
Ghost
Like,
town.
yeah, it was very, very, very drastic. We didn't experience that at all in Switzerland because the confinement was quite relaxed. We were always allowed to go out and walk on the street, for example. We were allowed to run by the lake and so on. Obviously, you see people in masks, people in gloves. Of course, we are wearing masks when we go shop and stuff like this. But I can only imagine how much more difficult it must have been for you being there in New York when you suddenly couldn't literally leave the house.
It's really interesting because I never thought New York could be quiet.
Mm.
I've never heard New York be quiet. There's always cars. There's always ACs. So
Yeah.
if you come to New York, you're gonna notice that there's this. It has a soundtrack. New York has a soundtrack. There's like
Yeah.
honks and I don't like people screaming. There's
Screams.
oh there's there's always something, and then all of a sudden it went quiet, and
Mm.
it was very interesting to see. And in a way, I'm glad I stayed here. Of course, I miss my family, but I talk to them
Yeah, this is
almost
I
every day.
and another thing I find interesting is that I feel definitely these times will take a toll on many relationships, but then friendships are growing stronger and
Stronger.
stronger by the second. There's so many people I have reached out to, and that maybe I must admit sometimes I'm very bad at replying to messages. Like this is something that I know is just I struggle with it. I'm the worst, and I apologize to everyone that I have ever ignored. It's not you, it's me. 100%. And I feel like definitely this time made me reconnect with many people and just be on sort of everyday basis with them. And then
Do
yeah,
you
the other
call?
thing
Sorry,
weird.
go ahead.
Yeah, go for it.
I wanted to ask if you do you call them like voice calls or do you FaceTime them?
FaceTime, always FaceTime. Doesn't matter, if I just woke up or, doesn't matter. I always do FaceTime. Even I called you on
Yeah.
FaceTime immediately. Like this is no shame.
I think it
Um,
makes a different connection when you actually see the person and you see that they're paying attention to
yeah,
you and I don't know, it's a different feel
absolutely, absolutely. But then what I also find funny is that this is the longest I have ever been at home for the last 10 years. This is this is something that freaks the hell out of me.
yeah.
And not only to stay in one place for this long, but also to stay with my boyfriend for this long. We've been together for 6 years, but
Good
never
segues
have
because I have a question.
never have I ever spent this much time with him.
So I have a question.
Go for it.
How did you meet Miko and how did you know he was the one you wanted to be with? The question from
Mm.
our readers. I have no idea.
But, Julia, but I still think we're doing very well. We've got 31 viewers. Hello to all of you guys. We're
Yes,
expecting
everyone.
zero attendance. So thank you for coming.
Yes, exactly. We were expecting a lot
So
less.
unfortunately, our story is not that interesting, and I'm going to disappoint everyone because we just met through mutual friends, and very, very good friends of ours, friends that we are in touch all the time, and we kind of got introduced when we were both living in London, and then I was still seeing someone. So, and to be honest, I didn't like him at first at all, and he didn't like. He thought I was a bimbo, but then you
Oh,
know me, and I'm not a bimbo. Like I'm far away from being a bimbo, and I thought he was a buffoon,
did he
which
knew wait, did he knew that he was a model, that you were a model? So maybe he had like a preconceived idea that you are.
probably,
Yeah.
probably, and I don't know. I have to chat with him about it. I have to know
Miko,
more. But then,
question for you.
but then somehow, like 7 months later, reconnected on like a Christmas party because he's also Polish. But then we both have a very similar story in terms of he left Poland when he was 16 as well to go to a boarding school. Same with me. He's a couple of years older than me, so we have a different timeline, obviously. But then we both share this background radiation. That's how I would call it. And then we were both in London at the time, so it was quite convenient. And we just, yeah, liked talking to each other. I don't know when I knew that he was the one. Do we ever know if someone is the one? I hope my biggest hopes and dreams and desire is to know. But life is life
So
plays.
unpredictable.
Yeah, exactly. So I think what makes me the most attached to him is that I see. This is the first time in my life when I see having a family with someone. And I think this is the biggest declaration of love from my side. If Miko is watching it, hopefully it's going to be nice to me this evening, because to me, to have someone, I've never imagined, anyone else to have a family with me than Miko, and this is quite beautiful. I think this kind of makes me solid, in this in this relationship.
Are you thinking of starting a family? Like, you are a family, but
Babe.
well, that came from me. I'm curious now.
You're curious. I don't know. You never know. I think at some point, obviously, like I really, really would like to have children. We haven't decided on anything. What's amazing is that Miko, we met already when I was a model, so he never even he was never jealous about my travels. He was never jealous when I worked with both very beautiful men on set sometimes. and then there's always trust, but he very much respected my my lifestyle in the way that I sometimes I jump in at home for 24 hours. I have to repack and then go again for 5 days, then I come back for the weekend and then I have to go again. And he knows that this what I absolutely admire about his perspective is that this is my decision, because it's I would have to stop working for a little bit, probably a year or so, and then
Yeah.
I would have to slow down. I would have to change my lifestyle completely. So this is something that
It's a big decision to
big decision.
make.
So we have a dialogue open, which I really appreciate, but not yet. Not yet. Do you?
I
Oh my God,
mean,
are you pregnant?
no.
Cobroños. This is
No.
another generation of
Oh,
children
not
that
that
will
I
come.
know of, but sometimes I get people asking me, "Are you pregnant?" I'm like, "Where did that come from? Like, how? Why would you ask me that?"
Well, I
So,
asked because you asked.
yeah. Yes. Okay, I give you that. So do you have a favorite book? You definitely have a favorite book.
Oh my God, favorite book one.
Well,
It's
give us a few. No, I'm kidding.
I'll give you a few. There are a couple of authors that definitely inspired me in a big way, and one is Richard Feynman. He's a physicist, but he's one of the few scientists that were able to talk about very complicated stuff in a very simple way. And he's also written a lot of like popular science books um, that I absolutely love. So yeah, Richard Feynman, then Henry Miller, Tropic of Capricorn, I love. And
Yeah,
then
Capricorn.
and then what else? Milan Kundera. I think he's another big figure somewhere up there in my mind. But I wouldn't be able to pick a favorite. Recently, when the movie came out, I read Little Women again, and oh my God, I cried so much. I was like a child. I don't know if you've seen the movie and if
I haven't seen it. No, no.
the book is better than the movie, but I
Like
couldn't finish it.
always.
I couldn't finish the book because I knew what's gonna happen. I've read it before, and then I just yeah I couldn't finish it because I didn't want to end it. So I absolutely loved reading it. Do you
Wait,
have
and
do you have
you
yeah?
posted something about someone in your aunt as a book.
Exactly. This is incredible. So I'm very happy you've asked, because this is the book I finished most recently. And she is an exceptional scientist. She is currently at Caltech, but very early on during the 90s, she left Poland and she started studying at Cambridge already, I think her doctoral degree at Cambridge. And now she's in Caltech continuing her research. But people don't talk about scientists that much, I guess, in popular press and definitely not on Instagram. But she wrote a book about her research in embryology and in biology, basically. And she is studying the first couple of days where, oh my God, when the cell is implanted. So when the cell is, for example, when the mice, I don't know if I can even explain it very well, but this is basically about, you guys have to read this book. It's the beginning of life. So first first couple of days when the cells start to multiplicate, and how much we know and how much we can learn from the research about the first couple of days of our lives, And obviously this is a very sensitive subject, especially in Poland.
In Romania, it's the same.
Yeah,
we're learning very little in school about these things. So for me, actually, I started reading all about, like fertility and all these things a while back, and I realized that there's so many things that we don't know, and nobody's teaching us, and nobody's telling us that as a woman you can get pregnant only like 5 days out of a month, and it's only
but
like
you
that.
Should...
It's crazy. So I'm definitely gonna
go for it, because the book is beautiful. It's a little bit of her story as a mother, and a little bit of her research. And this is an absolutely pioneering research, because it affects the way how we look at IVF, how we look at stem cells, and how we look at, for example, genetic abnormalities in an embryo that in theory could all be healed with certain procedures and fixed. But she talks about it with this gentleness and really moving story. So I highly recommend. I'm very proud of her. And Penguin Random House published it both in the UK and in America. So yeah, it's available on Kindle. I bought it on Kindle.
Ooh, I'm excited. I'm gonna get it too. Because it's interesting. I saw a documentary about it, and it was said that there are already 2 scientists. I think they're both women. One is from France, and the other one, I don't remember, maybe Australia, that managed to find a way to not fix, but to kind of get into the DNA and take parts out and put parts in, so you can basically, if you have, you can cure
certain genetic abnormality.
Yeah,
I mean, to be honest, I think the possibilities are incredible, and then general public knows so little, right? Even now, I read the book, and I'm still afraid to speak about it, because I'm afraid I'm not going to say it correctly, right? And then I do believe there should be more books and more materials for a general
CRISPR,
public too.
I think.
Yeah.
CRISPR is the name of
CRISPR,
it. Yeah, but
I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, apparently all the scientists, they agreed that they shouldn't use it and they shouldn't do more research on it, because the ethical part comes in, and you don't know when to stop and how, if you should use it.
The ethical part is definitely tricky, but then on the other hand, I think what's going to cure it is the dialogue about it, because the worst thing you can do, you can just say, okay, we're not going to talk about it, we're not going to do anything about it, let's just leave it on a shelf, to die slowly. And I think this is the biggest misconception. And same with people, the best thing is to just lay it out, talk about it, find a solution that would, obviously, there is not a perfect solution. It's all about a compromise, right?
Yes.
So I think now in the UK, from the book that I've read, it's possible to keep an embryo up to 14 days and do studies on that, which obviously in Christianity, it obviously already raises questions that, 14-day-old embryo is already a living thing, right? But then to do those experiments and to do those studies with utter respect, because they do it, and it's all described in the book. They all do it with respect, with precision, and with all the data needed to carry on this experiment, you know. So it's not ever a waste. It's those experiments can actually, you know, save so many pregnancies. So now, how do you weigh what's more important, right? Do you do something that is, you know, not necessarily amazing for everyone from the ethical and moral point of view, and then not progress in a project that, yeah, could in theory, you know, save so many others? So it's all very tricky, but we're losing viewers.
I was talking about. Anyway, so the book, you guys can see it on Anna's
Yeah,
Hannah's Instagram, because she posted about
yes,
it.
I
So.
definitely recommend. Do you plan to come to Europe straight after the pandemic is over?
I was thinking to go to Romania. I was thinking to go
Yeah,
home.
obviously, yeah.
But then I thought that means I will extend this break. So I'm not sure if that's a good idea. And also, I don't know how travel within the European countries will be.
Mm.
So I have to figure things out. I was supposed to be in Amsterdam, but you know, of course, that got canceled.
Yeah.
Um, I'm really curious to see how we get out of
Yeah, I
this.
really hope it's gonna end soon. I really hope that through I'm an optimist in this entire situation, but I really hope within a month we will be able to travel again, especially during within Europe. That's I see my friend ask me, "What do you mean by very good friends? And how can
Yeah.
someone upgrade to best friends? Does it have to do anything with the whole Sicilian issue?" Yes, it does, my dear friend. So these are one of our best friends. So you guys are already our best friends, but Sicilian issue is that I started dating Miko. We both knew our friends from before, and then we weren't invited to their wedding.
What?
So up to this day, we are making jokes. We are pointing this out that we weren't invited to their wedding because we just started dating. Oh yeah, he's laughing. I'm going to say it out loud for the entire world to hear. Yes, we weren't there, and you regret it. We regret it too because it was the most beautiful Sicilian wedding you can ever imagine. And then Mika and I, we were already dating, and I remember we were having dinner, and suddenly it's like, oh my God, do you know, Fifi and Jaja are getting married? I'm like, of course I know. And then we are not invited. I said, unfortunately, we're not. But I think it's like a very little, intimate, you know, wedding they're doing. And
And then you saw
yeah,
there's like 500 friends. No.
no, it was very intimate. So we let it go. But we're gonna make them suffer for a little bit longer.
Okay, so
This is it.
I've been obsessing over these. I don't know if you've seen the interviews of Inside the Actors Studio.
The old ones, right? It's
The
the
old ones with James Lipton.
Lipton, exactly. I wanted to say Lipman, but Lipton.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, this is something that I'm aware of, but I think I've never seen one like
So at the
from
end of
start
his
to bottom.
show, he always has a set of questions which he attributes to Bernard Pivot, who
Mm,
did them first in Bouillon de la Culture and also Apostrophe.
okay.
And there's these questions that I really like, and they're fun. So I'm gonna ask them to you as well.
Okay, go for it. Go for it.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
What is your favorite word?
Cloud. Is it?
What is
Okay.
what's your least favorite word?
Like a swear. I don't like when people swear, I guess. Some swear words.
Oh, you're in for a treat. Um, what turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Mm, exposure to something new and unknown. And this is something that definitely drives me forward. If I can't do something or I don't know something, it's like, oh my God, I'm in. Like I have to learn.
Modeling is good about that, right? Because you're thrown into all these different environments, and
Yeah.
you get to meet all these new people, and sometimes you get to leave with the people. Like you go to Japan for 2 months, and you live in an apartment that's, you know, like a typical Japanese apartment, and you're there and you get to experience life.
I've never experienced the Japanese fashion. I was very, I don't know why, but I've never experienced that. But definitely, even how, you know, how we met. We met in
Yeah.
Paris when we were both staying in Paris for a while, and this, you know, this just made us become friends for life, you know, and I think this is beautiful. It was so many years ago.
Are we very good friends, or are you going
Yes,
to
we are.
invite me to the wedding, or am I not?
If there is a wedding, I'm gonna invite you.
What turns you off?
Hmm. But in people or in, okay, what turns me off? When someone is boring, I hate boring people. That's one thing. And what other thing that turns me off is that when I see people, you know, there's this entire trend of like logo mania, people that just love, you know, having Louis Vuitton, vêtements,
There you
and
go. I
this,
think it's an
okay, you know,
Eastern European thing that
but
now is
bids
getting
everywhere.
momentum. Yeah,
So I hate that. So I always choose clothes without logo and
I'm glad I didn't wear my
a Gucci shirt.
Gucci Gucci shirt then.
But this is something that definitely turns me off.
What is your favorite curse word?
Well, I think the one that I use most often is just fuck. Yeah.
Fuck, yeah. That would have been my favorite word, I think.
Yeah,
I love
but
that.
it's so deeply rooted in the culture that I think it's you know, sometimes it's impossible to avoid. But I try not to. Sometimes
There
when
was
I
this
yeah
there was this video of Osho talking about the word fuck. I
yeah
thought it was hilarious.
I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah. What sound or noise do you love?
Do I see water?
The water.
Yeah, love the sound of the water. I
What
hate the sound when someone is like breathing next to me. I think this is a real problem I have.
that was question number 7. Question number 8.
Yes,
What other profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I think, and this is my public statement about this, in my lifetime, I will still be a doctor. So I'm gonna go back to studying
What
and I'm gonna, yeah,
what kind of
like
doctor?
neurologist.
Neurologist?
Yeah. But babes, Claudia saying that you should be answering those questions as well. So I think from now on, how many questions have we got left?
2. No. Yeah, 2.
Okay, so you have to give me an answer as well. Okay?
What profession other than my own I would like to
Yeah.
attempt? I think I would like to be a curator or a psychologist.
Maybe we can go and study medicine together.
Yeah.
This will be
I
fun.
My brother is studying psychology, and I went with him the first day of school, and I felt like that was my place.
Oh,
So
I love that. I love that.
yeah, it
Like,
was.
that's the thing, you know, what's incredible is that the lifespan is expanding so rapidly, and I genuinely believe we can do so many different things because obviously our profession is that I'm not okay, maybe if they offer me, you know, wrinkle cream when I'm 45, of course I'm going to do it, right? But then there's so
Only
many
at
things that
45? I feel like I'm using it now. I don't know what you mean wrinkle cream at
pain.
45.
45,
Okay.
that's a good age. Okay.
um, what profession would you not like to do?
Hmm. Do you have an answer?
I think I wouldn't like to be. So ever since I was little, because my mom works in a hospital, she's the head
Hmm.
nurse at ears, nose, and throat, and I always wanted to be a doctor. I realized that I don't think I could ever be a surgeon because I get
Okay.
so attached to people, and I'm emotionally and I
Mm.
don't think I could cut someone up. And yeah,
Okay.
even though that would be for a greater purpose of saving its life, I don't think I would be able to do that.
It's very interesting. I think, God, I really don't have a profession that I wouldn't mind like trying, you know? Oh,
Politician.
maybe politician. Yeah, I wouldn't like to be a politician, that's for sure. And the other thing is that I think I wouldn't be able to be a chef, a cook.
Oh,
Um,
I found out that I
I
could
wouldn't be
get,
able to do
yeah,
that.
during this quarantine. It's not happening for me.
Yeah, it's hard work, and Miko is cooking so much at home, and I end up helping him, which means I have to do the worst part, which is cutting up, cleaning, and stuff like. Oh, oh my
Oh, I
God, this
hate
is
cleaning.
this.
I hate washing dishes. Uh,
So yeah, and working in the kitchen, you have to be neat, clean, and fast. So yeah, I'm never going to be a chef, that's for sure.
okay, and the
I
last
can be a
question.
boss of a chef, but not a chef.
Yeah, I think being a boss is the best profession you can
I
have.
know, and we were just born to do it.
I mean, um, the last question: if heaven exists,
Mm.
what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Well done, I guess. Just, you know, simple pat on the back. You've done a good job, you made a difference, and just come and lay back.
Come on in.
What what about you?
I think I would like him to say, "You still have some stuff left unfinished. Go back."
Oh yeah, that's it. But would you actually want to just I feel like sometimes, I'm observing older people, some of them, do get a little bit sort of jaded in a way. Like this is something that I think we should yearn for in life is to never get jaded, right? For us to want to go back and do more and more.
I Yeah, I think, I mean, there's so much that you can do
Yeah, I agree.
that I don't think a lifetime is enough. But we also get lost in the details, and we forget what really matters. And I think that's one thing that this break brought,
Yeah, for
was
sure.
time to think and time to kind of look within and
Yeah, and slow down, right? Almost this peace and serenity of just yeah, I even posted this. I'm not great at posting stuff on Instagram, but I posted this picture on Instagram saying that it's okay to do anything you're doing during the pandemic, right? It's okay to just sit on your couch and watch Netflix.
yes.
It's okay to, wake up every morning, 6 o'clock, go for a run and just do every chore possible at home. It's generally, yeah, accepting that it's okay to just be you for a while and just stop and stare for a second.
Stop and
I
stare.
know. You see, you got it.
Oh, I would never be a singer also.
I think we would be excellent Broadway team, my friend. I think, neither of us can sing, but we would just make a show out of it. So this
I feel like we would probably have like 20 people that would look at us
but I
and
my
wonder
my mother
what went wrong.
my mother has always been telling me that in my past life I must have been a Broadway star because like I can do anything. I can dance for you, I can sing for you, and I'm gonna do it with such audacity. I'm just gonna own the stage, but it's all very badly
Luna,
done.
say hi.
Oh, Luna. Luna, is
He's
that her name?
his hair blue.
Uh, Blue.
Although
Luna
he's
and
never
Blue.
blue. His hair was. I mean, he's not ready for his Instagram debut, but
Are you eager to do the trimming yourself or not really?
I had trimmed a little bit. I'm always doing his
Yeah,
ponytails.
ponytail.
But yeah, it's gonna stay.
Okay, so should we just look
Yes,
through the comments that we have?
yes.
And
From
because I don't want to
bioengineering to the word fuck, is that
bug.
the favorite words? Bioengineering is an amazing word to have it as your favorite
I
word, I
know.
have to say. You are
So guys,
very
I
welcome.
think any questions that someone has burning.
Someone is ready to plan your wedding.
Speak now or remain.
Forever
Babes, we have a
silent
lot
or
of
what?
hearts and we have a lot of hearts and a lot of happy people around. Well, I hope we were entertaining.
I hope so too. Um, there's
Let's
more
do it
things.
again. But this is something that you're gonna do weekly or
Yeah, I was thinking to do it twice a week, but I will probably start with doing it weekly
mm.
and try to invite models, but also I was thinking to extend it to photographers, stylists, makeup artists. Um,
I think it's fantastic. And the other thing is that what I think we should share is that we only exchanged a couple of messages before, so none of this. I had no idea what questions would Julia ask, and she had no idea what I would answer. So all of this was just 100% real.
unscripted.
Yeah, real
Well,
deal, my friends.
except for my
But did we go through all of it? No.
no. We only
Yeah.
went through the Lipton questions, and some of the other questions that I had weren't really that fun, so or relevant. Oh, before we go, if you have
Did
like
any one of you ever suffered from an eating disorder due to modeling or
oh,
other mental? This is, I think, this is actually a very
very good
important.
question.
Yeah. So, do you want to have a go at that?
So for me, genetically, I've always been slim, so I never really had the problem of losing weight, and I never because nobody ever told me you have to lose weight. I never really had that pressure,
Mm.
and I feel like I'm very good with sifting through whatever is required of someone and what the pressure is. That I kind of, if it's something that I know cannot be done for myself or for my body, I will not push myself to do it.
I think, thank you so much for asking this question, because this is another question that
Yeah,
not many
Diane,
people
thank you.
have the even guts to ask. And first and foremost, I wanted to say that I went to therapy, and I have no shame in saying this out loud. This is something that has gave me so much, as a so much enriched my life in so many different ways. And I had massive problems. I didn't have this eating disorders or anything, but I had problems within myself. So what I mentioned before in the talk is that I was very reluctant to say that I'm a model. I was almost kind of lost between all of those identities that make me me. And it came to a point where when I basically my sister told me, Hannah, just reach out and get some help. And it took me a year of weekly Skype therapy sessions. And I think everyone should,
To do it. Yeah,
yeah,
there's a
everyone should do
stigma
it.
that surrounds this talking to a
And
professional,
no
and
shame in that.
it shouldn't. Yeah.
And in terms of what was the question, eating disorder. Um, if you think that you have an eating disorder, talk to someone. Like, this is the most important thing. And the most important thing is that you stay healthy, basically. So never push yourself to something that that just hurts you, you know.
Yeah. And
Is
also
it
there are different body types. There are
mm,
like slim people that are genetically they're like that, and there are bodies that are fuller in a way.
and
And that's
equally
just the
gorgeous?
way, yeah, that's the way they are, and they're perfect the way they are. So there's, if you ask someone that has that size to go to a very, like skinnier version of themselves, that doesn't make them healthy. So I think it's most important thing is to stay healthy and
Exactly.
in
Exactly.
here and here.
And in here.
Yeah.
And yeah, another thing that I want to underline is that you should always reach out to friends, because people
Friends or
undermine the
professional.
power. Yeah, exactly. The power of friends and professionals. First, when I was getting lost and when I was really, I had a terrible time. I was really unhappy. And then, yeah, I've spoken to my sister and she said, Hannah, this is not right and nothing is wrong with you. What you can do is you can make yourself feel better. So, yeah, on that note, I hope this answer was clear.
Yes, we only have 1 minute left.
Oh, do
I
we?
feel like we're
Okay,
gonna
baby.
talk forever.
I know, but it was such a lovely time we had together, and yeah, let's
Next time
call
I'm
me
gonna
on
use
FaceTime.
powder.
Call me on FaceTime, and you guys stay on Julia's profile because she's going to be doing this every week, and I'll be watching you every week. So I have my fingers crossed for that, and I think it's a beautiful initiative. And yeah, just carry on, and spread the world and spread the love, I guess.
Thank you, Hannah, and thank you for being yourself. You're amazing
No, thank you
self.
for having
And
me.
thank you for
Really,
saying yes immediately without any other
always,
additional questions and no
always, always, always.
having to know the questions beforehand so you can prepare.
No, I trust you with my full heart, so I never even hesitated. So I really root for the project to kick off, and thank you for everyone for coming, because it
Thank you
was.
everyone for being here, and I hope we didn't bore the hell out of you. And yes, spreading
See you
light.
soon. See you soon. How do we get out of here?
I'll
Just
end it. I'll end it.
okay. Bye,
Yeah.
baby.